Hi everybody, Ben Packer coming to you again with Ben Packer Explains It. We're talking about Tikkun Olam and the Disengagement Law. This week there was a very momentous event. We only bring you the most important things. And this is that there was a law passed in the Knesset yesterday repealing a section of the Disengagement Law from 2005. What was the Disengagement Law? That was a law passed by the Knesset, pushed by Ariel Sharon, the Prime Minister at the time. Some say with the blessing of the United States, where all 21 communities in the Gaza Strip, Jewish communities in the Gaza Strip, known as Gush Katif, were forcibly evacuated of their residence and completely destroyed. What is less known is that there were also 4 communities in the northern Shomron, Samaria, that were also, same thing. People were ripped out and the communities were destroyed. Okay, it didn't get nearly as much press. It was a bit of an afterthought to the whole thing, but it was very, very significant. So we're going to look at the map and try to understand what happened. But in short, the new law says that it was no longer illegal for Jews to go to these 4 places. Okay, until now, from 2005, 18 years ago, it's been illegal for Jews to be there technically. Okay, so let's look at the map here. This is the northern Shomron area. Okay, you have here Homesh and Sanor. These are 2 of the communities. And here you have Kadim and Ganim. Now, just a little bit of history here. These communities were started in the late 70s, early 80s by more secular Jewish pioneers. In the 90s, they were populated mostly by Russian immigrants from the Soviet Union. And by the time the disengagement came in 2005, religious people had started to move into Sanor and Homesh, not so much in Kadim and Gadim. Okay? When the disengagement came, these communities basically packed up and left, and these 2 communities fought to stay and were forcibly evacuated. Okay, so fast forward a few years, a yeshiva is started at Homesh. Again, it wasn't legal to go there, but nonetheless, a yeshiva was established here, and people went for literally over a decade to the yeshiva every day. In the last few years, they even started staying the night there. Okay, what happened is about a year ago, a little bit more, one of the students of the yeshiva was killed in a terrorist attack on the way from the yeshiva. This is obviously a horrible thing that happened. A married father of a baby was killed. But because of that, attention was shown on this situation that there was a yeshiva actually in Homesh. Of course, the army was well aware of it, and the government to whatever extent, but the public was largely not aware of it. Once that incident happened, it became very public. And counterintuitively, because of the incident, the government started to crack down on the yeshiva in Homesh. So they started tearing down their stuff more often. There had been, every once in a while, they would tear down their different structures that they built and were studying, but it became more common, more brutal, more public. So this led to a real struggle, culminating in the attempt by the previous government to actually destroy the yeshiva. And it was the government had said to the Supreme Court they were going to destroy the yeshiva. The new government, of course, is very different, and they have said that one of their goals, if elected, was to legalize the yeshiva. So that is what has actually happened now. The government now has just passed a law legalizing Jews to be able to go to Homesh. So all these people who previously were technically in violation of the law are no longer in violation of the law. And this is also true of Sanor and also Kadim and Ganim. So a lot of people are talking about these 4 communities. As you can see on the map, it's not so difficult to get from Shavei Shomron, the community here, to Homesh and Sanor, but it is much more difficult to get to Kadim and Ganim, which is also right next to Jenin, which is a terrorist hotbed, and only from the north is that accessible. You can see this entire area in the brown, right, is mostly Judenrein. It was until now technically legally Judenrein. Jews are not allowed in this area. Okay? Because of the situation, the American government and others have condemned this change in the law because they view this area as an integral part of a future Palestinian state. The fact that there will now be, or we'll see what happens, but possibly Jewish communities back here and possibly also here, even though it doesn't really affect the bulk of that area, they see that as a problem for their plan. But anyway, it remains to be seen what will happen. How quickly Jews are already in Chumash. Will Jews go back to Sonor? What about these two communities over here? Some members of Knesset are already talking about going back to Gaza, of course. But in the meantime, you can see that this community, I think it's just to drive home the point here, these people have been fighting for 18 years. And in the last decade, even more intensely, to hold this position, specifically Chumash. Okay? And against all odds, they have succeeded as of last night. It is a massive accomplishment for them. It is a massive accomplishment for all the Jewish people. It is truly a momentous occasion. There was cheering in the Knesset. Blessings were said. It is a big deal. There's world condemnation on some level, and okay, that's to be expected. That's what happened when the state was founded also, so it's okay. But this is a big deal. This is a very big deal. The government promised it would happen, and it has. And now all that's left to do is to see how far this develops. So we will update you when it does. All the best.